There's something magical about classic cars. They're more than machines. They're time capsules, built by hand, driven with heart, and still alive nearly a century later. In this video, I'm exploring 10 pre-war classics, each with its own history, quirks, and mechanical soul. Some are perfectly restored, others are rough around the edges, but all of them, from Ford to Chevrolet to Buick, tell stories that money can't replace. 1. 1929 Ford Model A Tudor, $14,000. Let's start with the 1929 Ford Model A Tudor, painted in classic green with a gray interior, showing 69,500 miles on the clock. The Model A was Ford's comeback after the long-running Model T, faster, smoother, and far more refined. What's interesting about this particular Tudor is that it's been upgraded subtly. The old generator has been replaced with an alternator for better electrical reliability, and a main fuse has been added for safety. Even small updates like that keep the spirit of originality while improving practicality. If you've ever driven a Model A, you'll know the clutch and throttle feel mechanical and honest. No computers, no sensors, just pure driver connection. My maintenance tip for Model A owners? Always check the timing advance manually. These cars use a spark lever on the steering wheel, and getting that adjustment right makes all the difference in how smoothly it runs. 2. 1928 Ford Sedan, $10,000. Just a year earlier, Ford introduced this 1928 Ford sedan, finished in rich brown with fresh upholstery and paint. It still runs on its original four-cylinder engine, a simple side valve unit that defined Ford's engineering philosophy. Strong, easy to repair, and made for long distances. Compared to the 1929 Model A, the 28 has more of that raw early mechanical charm, fewer refinements, but a purer connection to the early automobile era. A cool fact: these cars were often used as family vehicles during the Great Depression, proving their durability in tough times. For restoration, one key thing to remember: always inspect the wood frame structure inside the body panels. Many early Fords used wood supports that can dry out or crack over time. 3. 1929 Ford Model A Street Rod, $28,500. Now this next one takes the Model A to an entirely different level. A 1929 Ford Model A Street Rod from Star, South Carolina. It's all metal, finished in bold red with a 383-stroker V8 engine and automatic transmission. This is not about originality. It's about reinterpretation. The idea that classic design can meet modern performance. Street rods like this became popular after World War II when young mechanics turned old Fords into powerful hot rods. What makes this one stand out is balance. It preserves the original proportions but hides modern reliability underneath. For those who love the blend of vintage style and raw power, the Street Rod remains a timeless statement of creativity and engineering passion. Just remember, if you ever build one yourself, prioritize cooling and braking upgrades. That V8 makes a lot more heat and speed than Henry Ford ever imagined.
4. 1930 Buick Marquette, $17,500. Moving away from Ford for a moment, we come to the 1930 Buick Marquette, priced at $17,500 and powered by a six-cylinder engine. Buick introduced the Marquette as a more affordable luxury car, meant to compete with brands like Studebaker and Nash. Even though the model lasted only 1 year, it left a lasting impression with its smooth inline-six and elegant bodywork. This particular Marquette still runs and drives well, a testament to how solidly Buick engineered its vehicles during the early General Motors era. Compared to Ford's simpler construction, the Marquette feels more sophisticated, better insulation, stronger suspension, and more attention to detail inside. Maintenance-wise, the biggest challenge for Buick owners today is sourcing parts for that one-year-only engine, but its durability makes it worth the effort. 5. 1921 Ford Model T pickup, $18,500. And finally, we go back even further in time to a 1921 Ford Model T pickup, finished in rustic brown with a tan interior. This is more than a truck, it's a symbol of American innovation. Built at a time when cars were still a new idea for most people, the Model T changed the world by putting transportation within everyone's reach. This pickup version was popular among farmers and tradesmen, and it's easy to see why. Rugged, simple, and dependable. Driving one today feels like traveling back to 1921. There's no clutch pedal as we know it, just a combination of levers and bands that require coordination and patience. The best maintenance advice for any T owner? Keep the lubrication system clean and the magneto in good shape. Those two factors determine whether it starts with confidence or not at all. For $18,500, it's not just a vehicle, it's a living museum piece that still runs. Six, 1930 Ford Model A, $29,500. The 1930 Ford Model A has always been one of the most beloved classics, and this gold example from Delaware is a perfect blend of original design and hot rod innovation. Underneath that all-steel body lies a serious performance setup, a 350 cubic inch Chevrolet engine, Edelbrock intake, dual electric fans, and Flowmaster exhaust. The chassis has been upgraded with Pete and Jake's suspension, rack and pinion steering, and front disc brakes, making it handle like a modern car while keeping its vintage soul. What I love about this build is how it shows respect for both eras, the craftsmanship of the 1930s and the performance succession of the 1970s. For anyone maintaining a resto mod like this, heat management is crucial. Always monitor cooling fans and exhaust temperatures to preserve that powerful small block engine for years to come. Seven, 1930 Ford Model A Tudor, $12,900. This brown 1930 Ford Model A Tudor from Michigan brings things back to near original form, a car that still feels like stepping into history. Its engine was rebuilt roughly a decade ago and has only about 7,500 miles since. It runs a 5.5-to-1 compression head, touring cam, and lightened flywheel, making it smoother and more responsive than most stock Model A's. The lacquer paint applied back in the 1970s shows cracking today, but that's part of the charm. It's aged honestly, like a classic leather jacket that's been worn and loved. Mechanically, the Tudor is solid and ready for long drives, the kind of car you could take across states at 45 miles per hour and feel every heartbeat of the road. For preservation, the key tip here is to wax over aged lacquer regularly to prevent moisture intrusion. Sometimes patina deserves to be kept, not erased.
1930 Ford Model A, $15,000. Over in Candia, New Hampshire, sits another 1930 Model A, this one fully restored in beautiful green with a black interior. Unlike the previous Tudor, this one has gone through a complete overhaul, fresh paint, refinished bodywork, and a fully sorted drivetrain. It's the kind of car that starts easily, idles with a gentle shake, and delivers that signature slow gear whine that only Model A's make. Cars like this are ideal teaching tools for anyone learning about early automotive mechanics. Everything is accessible, visible, and built to last. For $15,000, you're not just buying a restored vehicle, you're preserving one of the most influential platforms in history. 1930 Chevrolet Street Rod from Windsor Locks, Connecticut, tells a more personal story. Built by a late enthusiast and now cherished by his family. powered by a 4.3-liter V6 bored out to 283 cubic inches and paired with a 700R4 transmission. This car blends GM ingenuity with classic street rod attitude. It features front disc brakes, a Ford 9-inch rear end, air conditioning, and even modern wiring, proving that comfort and history can coexist. What makes this car truly beautiful isn't just its coastal blue paint, it's the legacy behind it. Every turn of the key carries someone's memory, someone's hours in the garage perfecting details. For owners of older resto mods, one essential maintenance tip is to check ground connections and relays often. These hybrid electrical systems age differently than stock wiring. Number 10. 1925 Ford Model T, $12,000. We close with a genuine legend, the 1925 Ford Model T, finished in gray and still running strong. 100,000 miles may sound like a lot, but for a Model T, that's almost a badge of honor. With its manual planetary transmission and basic four-cylinder engine, this car remains one of the simplest mechanical systems ever made. No computers, no hydraulics, just gears, levers, and ingenuity. The Model T was the car that built America, and driving one today is like holding a conversation with history. If you ever get to maintain one, remember this: clean oil and consistent band adjustment are the keys to a smooth ride. It's old technology, but it still rewards attention and care. From Fords that changed the world to Chevrolets built by hand, each of these classics carries the fingerprints of its era. They remind us that machines once had personalities, imperfections that made them human. Whether you restore them, drive them, or simply admire them, old cars have one thing in common: they still have heart. So if you could bring one of these back to life, which one would you choose? Tell me in the comments, and let's keep these stories alive together.